Good morning again, everybody. So, as talking with the children, day 6 is the accumulation of everything that we've been talking about, and it's the culmination of the Lord's design, the Lord's grand plan. He has created this earthly world, the universe that we live in, but He has also created the spiritual world that He would like us to grow into. And it's the coming together of these two worlds, one supporting the other, that we see happen, all coming together in day 6, where for the first time we are fully able to respond back to the Lord. The series has been about recreating you. Recreating you. We know that we are born of our parents into this natural life, and we're also born into the natural tendencies of this world, where the things of this world consume us and are the focus of our life. So we go after things of this world, money, having things, reputation, all those things of gain are of this world, and that is part of our fallen state of life. But we're not born automatically into a spiritual life. We're not born automatically into a spiritual life. It's a process that the Lord does that opens us up little by little to receive more of what is of the spiritual life, taking us from spiritual darkness to spiritual day. And we see this in the Bible. The Bible talks often about remolding or reshaping or changing our heart from a heart of stone to a heart of flesh. Or in the New Testament about being reborn, born again, or regenerated. All of those speak to this idea that we have to be born again in a new way. Not in an earthly way, but a new spiritual way. Being born again. And as we've seen through the series, this isn't a once-off event. We don't decide, well, now I am a follower of the Lord, now I believe in Him, now I have a spiritual life. But rather, it's a process that we go through over and over and over again. And there are parts of our lives that the Lord is drawing through this process, one small piece at a time. So we're more of a mottled picture of light and dark. We're not all evil. We're not all good. We're a mixture of those two. So today we look at day 6 of the creation story, of the creation process. And I want to discuss what it is to be in God's image and in God's likeness. Of all the things that were created on day 6, that is probably the one that we resonate with. Right? God created man on the 6th day. So what is that image in us of God? What is that likeness in us? Do we have it? Do we always have it? Do we lose it? So some of those are some of the questions that I hope we can answer today as we think about how am I the image and the likeness of God. So I want to start off by first looking at, well, how do we lose it? How do we lose the image of God? Because we can look around at the world and we can see awful things, terrible things that are happening all over the world. And we can recognize that God is not in that. That doesn't come from God. That comes from people. So are we born with it? Or do we lose it? Or do we have to only grow into it as we get older? We are all born with the ability to have the Lord's image and His likeness. And that ability that is in us is twofold. And in order to understand them, we need to have a quick understanding of who God is. God is love. He is love itself. And in order for love to be expressed, there needs to be wisdom. It needs to be done wisely. So God is love and God is wisdom. That is God. So if we are going to be like God or in His image, we need to have the ability to receive His love and His wisdom. And so He has created in us from birth the ability to love others. We have in our minds the ability to will and to do what is good. We also have the ability in our minds to think, to understand deeply about what it is to love. So how do we lose that? Because we are aware within our own lives that we are not always good, that we are selfish, that we have frustrations and we are often far from God. So why does that happen? I want to read to you from the Teachings for the New Church, from the book called Divine Providence by Emanuel Swedenborg. It's number 328. So the image of God and likeness of God become virtually destroyed or seemingly destroyed when we make the vessel of divine love, the vessel for divine love in us is the wisdom, is the will in us. When we make that vessel to receive His love a vessel instead for receiving love of self. And we make the vessel for receiving divine wisdom, which is our understanding, a vessel of our own intelligence. So these two vessels, one that's meant to receive the Lord's love and receive His wisdom, and instead we fill it with a love of self and our own intelligence. By doing so, we invert the image and the likeness of God. We turn the vessel away from God and towards ourself. And so this is our natural fallen tendency that each one of us has. Those vessels are so easily filled with self, with things of the world, and with our own idea of what is best for me. This is what I see as good in my life. This is what I want out of life. This is my way of living. And so this is our fallen state. This is the dark state, the darkness of day one that we are in, when those vessels are full of self-intelligence, and self-love. And so we all need to be recreated. We all need to be drawn out of the darkness of selfishness. And when we think about the story of Christmas, which we start in a couple of weeks, the story of the Lord's coming into the world, and the purpose for His coming into the world was to bring us out of the darkness. Right? We hear about the people who are in great darkness, and behold, a great light. The whole purpose of the Lord coming into the world was to teach us, to show us, to give us an example of what life should be like, of filling our will with love for others and filling our understanding with a knowledge of what the Lord desires, what the Lord sees as good in our life. So what does it look like to fill our will with love, or to have a will of love and an understanding of how to express that love? How does that look? What does that look like in our lives? What does it mean to love? Because love is one of those terms that is hard to pin down. We know what it feels like, but we don't really understand, well, how to work towards it, or what are the aspects of love. In the teachings for the new church, we're given 3 aspects of love that help us identify in ourselves and how we move forward. So 3 things. The first one, love is actively outward looking. Love is active and it's looking outwards towards others. That is the first thing of love. Think about going into a room where you don't know anybody. Everyone is a stranger, and you walk into the room. For most people, I think, there's a tendency to just move to the side, move out the way, move into the corner, and just observe. We don't normally go straight out and start engaging with people. The hells get the better of us. Our self-love gets the better of us. We get self-conscious, and we tend to move away from people and just observe. But love moves forward. Love moves towards people. Love goes outside of ourselves towards others and wants to connect with others, right? Actively engage with people that are outside of ourselves. So that's the first thing of love. It's active and looking outwards of ourselves. Tell me your story. What's happening in your life? What are the experiences that you have been through that's molded and shaped who you are? And so if we want to grow closer in our relationships, it takes communication. Right? Communication is key, because that's only through communication that we learn. Right? Love desires to learn. Love desires to communicate with other people. And it's not a communication in order to correct. Right? We're not going to correct. We're not going to say, well, this is my experience and it's better than yours, or this is how you should have done it. That's not what love does. Love listens. It wants to hear. It wants to understand. It wants to know where another person is because of step 3. Step 3 is about blessing other people. Love desires that others are happy. Love desires that other people are peace. Love desires that more for others than for ourselves. So that's the third step of love. And it requires then an action. It requires words. Right? So words of comfort or support or recognition. Words of affirmation as we support another person. Or actions, things that we can do for someone. Maybe they just need us to be present, to hold their hand, to give them a hug, a smile on our face. Or it could be some activity that we can do for them or with them. So those are the aspects of love. Love is actively looking outside of ourselves. Love wants to connect and draw closer to a person so that we can understand them better. And when we understand them better, we know exactly what they need. We know how to love them. And then we can do that love for them. So those are the 3 aspects of love. Looking outside, drawing closer, and blessing another person. I want to read to you from Divine Love and Wisdom. Divine Love and Wisdom, talking about the Lord. Number 47. The hallmark of love is not loving ourselves, but loving others and being united to them through love. The hallmark of love is also being loved by others, because this is how we are united. Okay? So love goes both ways. When both sides are loving each other, there is connection. That's what we're all after, that connection. Loving each other. If we think about our relationship with the Lord loves us, and He wants us to love Him back. Right? And it's the love that causes connection. Right? It's not our faith. Faith does not connect us with the Lord. Faith is our starting point, but it is love that connects us with the Lord. The essence of love is that what is ours should belong to somebody else. Feeling the joy of someone else as the joy within ourselves. When another person is happy, I am happy. When I have gone outside of myself, when I understand a person and what they need, and am able then to do something that is helpful, and I see the joy, I see the happiness, I see the peacefulness it brings to them, that is returned to us. The Lord returns that happiness to us. Their happiness becomes our happiness. That is loving. That is loving. So how do we see this in the image and the likeness that is spoken about in day 6? Day 6, we see that we are created in His image and His likeness. The image speaks to the things in our minds, the understanding that we have, when we can understand how to love. That's the image of God, understanding how to love another person. The likeness of God is being able to then love somebody. That is when we're got the likeness of God. So the image is having the knowledge, the understanding, and the likeness, or like being like God, is being loving towards other people. And so those two things are abilities that we all have, that are always within us, but they've been covered over and filled up with other stuff. And so this day of creation is us becoming aware that we have these abilities within us. We have the ability to understand how to love. And we have the ability in day 5 and day 6 to start to see that love active in our lives. So this is the mission for our church, to love one another, to be a loving community. This is what it is to be a church, to love one another. Pure and simple. It's all of the Lord's physical creation and all of the Lord's spiritual creation coming together for this purpose, that we love one another. And by loving one another, I'm giving of the Lord's love to you. Giving of the Lord's love to somebody else. It's not mine. This is what I've received from the Lord, and this is what I give to others. And so by loving others, I am loving the Lord. I love the Lord by loving other people. This is what the Lord desires for each one of us, to be able to love freely, to bring happiness to each other. And it's a mission then for us as a community to, if we think about those 3 steps of what love is, to reach outside of ourselves, as individuals, reaching outside of ourselves within our own community, and as a community together, reaching outside to other communities, getting to know other communities, and blessing them with what we have. So this is a mission for each one of us. It's your mission to become more loving. It's your walk with the Lord, but also us as a community, going outside of ourselves to spread and give of what the Lord has given us to others. I want to finish with this last idea, which is that the Lord is with you through this whole process. It is the constant effort of the Lord. This is Divine Providence 123. It is the constant effort of the Lord's divine providence to unite us with Himself and Himself with us, and thereby make us His image. It also follows that the Lord is doing this so that He can give us the blessing of eternal life, since this is the nature of divine love. So the Lord is with us through this whole process. Right? He is the one who brings the light into our darkness. He is the one who helps us separate the waters. He is the one who helps give us the energy and the effort to try and do things. Therefore, we see Him for the first time in our lives. He is the one who brings life to our thoughts, and He is the one who brings love into our hearts. This is a journey with the Lord, that He is with you. He loves you. Right? And there's nothing that you can do that will separate you from His love. He loves you. And what He's trying to do with you and for you is to take you on this journey, if you will cooperate, to bring that love into our hearts so that we can be His hands and feet in this world, that we can give of what He has given us, the joy, the blessings, to other people. And in this way, bringing what is of heaven to earth. Amen.